Hi.
Hi.
I'm Julia.
And I'm Christy.
And that's something, reflecting on some past episodes we've done, we've realised that we haven't really been introducing ourselves at the start of every episode. So if you've stuck around now, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm Julia. And this is Christy.
Hello. Julia, what do you get when you put one girl, two guys, and a hockey net in the same room?
I don't know, Christy, what do you get?
You get pucking around.
We're talking about That One Night and Pucking Around. So that is 0.1 and book 1 of the Jacksonville Rays.
Mm-hmm.
There's 2 primary works and 2 novellas in this series. So the other books that follow Pucking Around is Pucking Ever After.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next book is Pucking Wild, which follows a different main character and love interest. Pucking Around is told from this perspective of 4 main characters, which is Rachel, Jake, Caleb, and Omari. And you actually meet Rachel and Jake in That One Night in the prequel. However, they don't actually give each other's names in the prequel, which I absolutely love. So with That One Night, I guess to summarize it, it's essentially boy meets girl in a hotel bar, and they have a one-night stand. But it's the kind of one-night stand where they don't share any personal details about each other's lives, don't share their names. I think they give each other is like their star signs. Yup.
Important things.
And he falls pretty hard and wants to wake up the next morning, essentially like get all the details and like, no, I need to figure out this information. But she's left.
She's gone.
And
it's like Cinderella's story.
But it is very well written. It's only 124 pages, this novella, so it won't take you very long to read as well. So That One Night, it just gives you a bit more depth to both Rachel and Jake. And it was just kind of nice understanding their characters to that little bit more depth and their relationship to, I guess, why they were certain ways around each other
Like
when they did.
Infatuated and stuff.
Yeah, when they did kind of like meet up again in Pucking Around. Essentially, the premise of That One Night is it's just a one-night stand between 2 main characters in Pucking Around. But it's so vital that you read it first. Like, I just feel like it goes hand in hand. It's not like it's a novella where it's too much extra information is too much and it's unneeded. I feel like it gives you this so much more depth to actually appreciate Pucking Around that much more. Yeah. So Pucking Around follows the story of Rachel, who's trying to get a fellowship. She's a knee and hip doctor, physio. But that fellowship will essentially set her up in a sporting team. Which she didn't care where she ended up, whether it was going to be hockey or basketball or football or soccer. She just wanted to be a part of this fellowship because it will set her aside from all her other competitors when it comes to going for jobs. And you know what? Good on her. Yeah. She's not just a nurse. She's trying to compete for this fellowship. She's trying to make a name for herself. And this is essentially the next step. So after reading That One Night, the story with That One Night starts off with her being disappointed that she didn't get the fellowship. You learn about it on page 1. It's not exactly a spoiler. So That One Night is only takes place over a night. So it's not an extended time frame. So she's disappointed about the fellowship. She wants to have a wild night with this random stranger she just met at a bar. So Pucking Around starts off with her still being sad about not getting this fellowship. Then she does receive a call that she gets the fellowship. Yeah. Because the person that did get the fellowship picked the team and everything, and then they injured themselves and couldn't do it. Yeah. So she gets this phone call. It's congratulations, you've got the fellowship. You start next week. She has to pack up her life and essentially move towns. She's got no clue about the team. She doesn't follow hockey. Doesn't know who's on this hockey team.
Doesn't even know where she's going at first, and then she realizes that she's going to Jacksonville.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And she ends up in Jacksonville. Caleb is the one who picks her up. There's some pretty funny scenes that happen with her luggage. And it's like the next day she learns, or she meets Jake, and learns that Jake is the person that she had the one night stand with. I think it was a few months ago.
Yeah.
It's not like it's been a big time frame. It's only been a few months or a month or two. And Jake essentially wants her affection. He doesn't care about the fact that she's the team's doctor now, and he's trying his hardest in his puppy dog golden retriever ways to just win her heart.
Yes, perfect description.
And she's just like, no, this is my job. I don't want you to ruin this for me. Like, this is important to me. We can't have a relationship. But Jake's very much like, no, I don't care. This is going to happen. I'm going to win your heart, even if that means we have to be friends for the length of the fellowship, which is 12 weeks, or I feel like it's longer. Anyways, for X amount of time, she's like, we'll only be friends. But Rachel isn't someone who has conventional relationships or reserves her heart for just one person. So there are, I guess, relationships and other moments that develop, not just between Jake when it comes to connections, but also a few other characters. And I guess overall, the book follows how those relationships develop, the struggles they have in their headspace, because Rachel's very open to polyamory, whereas the guys that she starts to fall in love with, and they start to fall in love with her, they've never had polyamorous relationships before. So I guess the big consensus with the book is just coming to that understanding, learning what it means for them, learning how that works and how they're going to make it work.
The dynamic will work.
Yeah.
But also reputations as well. That was a big thing.
That's it for being, I guess, famous male hockey players. They've got their reputations in the sporting world and how that's going to affect their careers. But then Rachel also has a history. Her background is her father's a famous musician, or he's the lead singer of a famous band, and press has followed her entire life as well, but followed her in a negative way where it doesn't highlight anything positive. It's there for when she, I guess, fucks up, essentially.
Yeah, partying, wild child, doing bad things.
And she's trying to leave that behind.
Yeah.
So that was a really long summary, but Pucking Around follows... Yeah, so it's told from... I'm just going to try that again. That was a very long summary, but Pucking Around follows the perspective of Rachel, Jake, Caleb, and Omari. And it essentially just talks about their accepting of polyamory and the struggles that they face learning about the world and coming out to everyone.
Yeah. That was really good. That was awesome.
Well, something that I always remember is you read Pucking Around before I read Pucking Around, and you essentially shoved this book down my throat and was just like, read it, we must talk about it.
Literally.
And it is 750 pages. I read it in like 2-3 days, which is massive and so quick for me to devour a book like that. I was obsessed. But you asked me to describe it in one word. And do you remember? When I finished reading Pucking Around, you were like, describe it in one word. And I kept going back and forth on what that one word should be. But in the end, I described it as accepting.
Yeah.
Because that's what this book is. It's so accepting of unconventional relationships. And it was just really refreshing to read a story where I guess it was just so accepting, and they didn't face a lot of outside negativity because the relationships were secretive while they came to their own conclusions on what they wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it was just so accepting.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention some, I guess, tropes, triggers, content warnings, so then you can decide for this yourself if this book really is for you. So there is, when it comes to the relationships, there's male-female, male-male, male-male, female, male-female, male, male-male, female, male. There's also, choking, impact play, praise and dirty talk, voyeurism, bondage, DP, DVP, toy use, degradation, dom and sub play, spit play, breeding kink. And on the non-sexual side, there is bullying linked to homophobia. There's also past mentions of unalive attempts, history of substance abuse, history of disordered eating, and history of harassment.
Yeah.
So whilst there is a lot of fun when it comes to the kinks and sex scenes, all the different smut, there is still a lot of deep topics in there. And if any of those topics, even mentioned briefly, is something that's triggering to you, maybe this book isn't for you. Yeah. But they're not topics that are discussed too heavily. Yeah. It's all stuff that's happened in the past to the characters. I guess the main one that they do encounter a lot is the bullying linked to homophobia. Yeah. And they do overcome it in a really cool way at the end of the story too.
Wholesome.
So, they're your triggers, they're your content warnings. If you want to keep listening to hear us chat about absolutely everything, stick around. If you don't want to be spoiled, read it, come back. You are in for a treat. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars with a 5 flames for spicy smut. Yep. Same for you? Or?
I was 5 stars.
5 stars.
I loved it. I loved that book. I ate it up. Just nom 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 nom.
Yes.
Just genius writing.
So yeah, if you want to read it before you get spoiled, we'll talk soon. If not, strap in. Or strap on.
I could so see that happening, like Rachel and maybe Jake. Maybe? I don't know. I could see that happening.
Look, if there's going to be strap on, it is 100% Rachel and Jake.
Yeah.
Yes. Not Omari.
And no way Caleb. No way.
I mean, Caleb might be open to it.
I don't think so. He's Daddy Caleb.
Okay. But he's more open than what Omari is.
Yeah, true.
Maybe in like a year or two.
Maybe.
Jake now.
Just for fun.
Caleb later.
April Fools.
Some of the reasons why I really liked Pucking Around. No third act breakup. There was no drama about we should break up, we shouldn't be together. They worked through their shit.
Yeah.
Rachel at the end was feeling like she was going to be a flight risk, but the guys talked her around. Yeah. And the thing that I like is that they all worked together to get her. Yeah, so yeah, overall that's why I liked it. I liked there was no third act breakup. I liked that every sex scene was different. Yeah. I didn't feel like I was reading something repetitive because literally every single sex scene was different. And it wasn't, even though, yes, it was polyamorous, yes, there was multiple partners, it wasn't just like they were banging in a bedroom. Yeah. There was scenes where they were in a club.
Storage closet.
Started in the stairwell, moved to the storage closet. And that's where we kind of got our first taste of Dom Daddy Caleb. When they were in the storage closet, because Caleb started to give orders to Jake, and Jake slipped right into the submissive role. And Rachel was fucking there for it. And I was there for it. I was flipping those pages like, what is happening next? It was beautiful. And can we just take a moment to talk about Caleb's pierced?
Yes.
Yes. Well, look, here's the thing that caught me by surprise. Obviously, I am familiar with the fact that dudes will get their dicks pierced.
Mm.
I was not familiar with the fact that they would do it 4 times over.
Yeah.
And then I spent a long time trying to figure out where exactly it was pierced 4 times over. Was it like a top and bottom thing? Was it like a top, bottom, side? And then I just ended up sitting on the fact that maybe one at the top, but then like underneath like a ladder. That's how I pictured it.
See, I thought it was all underneath.
See, yes, right? That's what I landed on. But at first, when I pictured pierced dick, I couldn't picture it.
Yeah.
Because I've never, I guess, even considered the fact that a dick could be pierced more than once, and that is on me. Yep.
I didn't realise either until this book. But thank you, Emily Rath. Thank you.
It was beautiful.
It was.
The visual was beautiful. So, yeah, every sex scene was different. Caleb and his pierced cock, wonderful. What else? I loved Ilmari's plotline.
Yes.
That was, I feel like the plotline with Ilmari, I could have just read its own book.
Yeah.
Literally just Rachel and Ilmari, or even just following Ilmari's perspective on his own.
Yeah.
Ilmari was described as someone who was this gruff, kind of bare, few short words, doesn't want to socialize or interact.
Yeah.
But when he spoke, and he actually spit out sentences, it was poetic and beautiful.
Like whether it was in English or Finnish.
Emily Rath, if you are listening to this, can you give us a poetry book from Ilmari's perspective? I would read that.
It could even just be like one worded, like
grunt.
Yeah, literally, and I'd read it. I'd pay for that.
Like one page is just him grunting, and then the next page is just paragraphs of beautiful poetry.
Please.
Wonderful.
This, please.
Just an idea for you, because we'll read the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a podcast on it.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, and then I guess the other thing that I really, really, really liked about this, and I know we've mentioned it already, is just how accepting and understanding the story remained focused on. Yeah. As someone who doesn't read a lot of romance, I'm very heavy on fantasy. It's kind of why I sway away from romance, because it just doesn't have the excitement like a fantasy with dragons and castles and magic and fae. Yeah. But this book, it still captivated me. Yeah. And I really liked that. And for a romance book to captivate me the way that Pucking Around did, Emily Rath did a fantastic job.
She really did.
And like I said as well, it wasn't my first hockey romance that I read either. And I've still got, I guess, good things to say about the other one that I had read previously. But this one was just beautiful.
Honestly, this one shit on every hockey romance I read before. Like, I thought they were good, and then I read this and I went, That's the only way to put it.
I did have a few moments, but that was mainly me nitpicking things. So a few of my moments, probably why I gave it, I guess, 4 out of 5 stars, because I did have a few things that were just for me. Yeah. And like I said, this is for me. Your opinion might be different. Somebody else's opinion might be different. And that's the whole reason why we have these conversations. Because we're entitled to our own opinions.
Exactly.
And well, you know what? I'll accept yours, you'll accept mine, whatever. So, I didn't care for the ending. And that's because I don't care for the whole pregnancy trope.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the book ended... Okay, wait. Ilmari has a breeding kink. He's the one that has a breeding kink. Yeah. He basically talks about wanting to get her knocked up. And at the end of the book, like the last chapter, or one of the last like paragraphs you read, she yells out, "By the way, guys, I took out my IUD."
Yeah, that was weird.
And I just do not care for the let's get pregnant. Like, we're so in love. Let's get pregnant.
Yeah. It doesn't have to end in babies.
Thank you. And look, I'm a mother. I love my son. I just don't care about pregnancy tropes in books.
Yeah.
But that's me. See, somebody else reading might be obsessed with the fact that they love each other that much that they're ready to take that next step. I just didn't care for it.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I
Yeah.
do agree with that opinion. I also still loved it at the same time. Like,
See what I mean?
It's wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that's not my sort of thing, but it's wholesome. Like, it tied together well.
I still enjoyed the book. I still loved it. I love how it ended.
Yeah.
So essentially the book ends with everybody finding out they're in a polyamorous relationship, and Rachel's first reaction is to bury her head in the sand and start fresh once all the press is gone.
Yeah.
So she ends up going to her parents' house. She turns off her phone, doesn't want to connect to the internet, doesn't want to know what's happening on social media around, I guess, her and her hockey players.
Yeah.
And when she comes back, the three guys have actually organised tickets for her and her family to come see their show. Rachel, because she's had a media blackout, doesn't know what they've planned and organised, but with the help of, I guess, her family's PR and the Jacksonville Rays PR team, they've controlled the story of their love. So when they finally get to the game, it's this, she's essentially idolized for her polyamorous relationship and how she loves so openly. And it's just this big, beautiful scene at the end. And it made my heart swell with so much happiness on how accepting this stadium of sports fans were.
Yeah.
Because I guess
I'm gonna cry.
I think it's just because traditionally we're so used to negativity when it comes to unconventional relationships that it was so nice and just so refreshing to read a story about a relationship with one girl and three guys, and the most negativity that there was Avery, which is like the villain of the story. But even then, he's a pretty
he's like 3
insignificant
pages.
villain.
Yeah.
Because all he does is
Slut shame?
Yeah, he tries to slut shame Rachel. Maybe he's a misogynist in the fact that she's a woman trying to take his job and she's better than him.
And like the sports world is a man's world.
Yeah, so that was the most negativity that we really experienced, and that's where the bullying linked to homophobia came from as well.
Yeah.
Because Jake and Caleb have been friends since college. They've, I guess through college, when you hear them talking about how they met and how they were friends, they've shared women in their past before. So when it came to, I guess, Jake and Rachel introducing Caleb into their sex life, or it was more Rachel started to have a romantic connection with Caleb.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to just be limited to her love with Jake. Jake was open to the idea of Caleb joining because it's something that they've done in the past. Yeah. They weren't afraid to share. There was no jealousy involved either. So for Caleb was going to be an up-and-coming hockey player as well, and he was going to be extremely good until he experienced an injury in one of like his first career games, which essentially has knocked him out for the rest of his hockey career. Yeah. But Jake managed to get him a job with the Jacksonville Rays or with his previous team, and essentially Jake and Caleb have always worked alongside each other in the hockey world. Mm-hmm. Jake being the hockey player, Caleb being an operations manager, and he handles the equipment. Yeah. Equipment manager. But because of Jake and Caleb's friendship, and it's a really close friendship as well, the team, their teammates continuously made jokes that Jake and Caleb are domestic life partners, but not jokes in a put down way.
Yeah.
Just in a funny, oh, Jake, do you know if Caleb's going to be there tonight? Caleb, do you know if Jake's going to be there? Basically treating them like they're in a relationship because they always know where the other person is or is going to be.
Yeah.
Domestic life partners.
Yeah.
But not in like a bullying kind of way.
Yeah.
Just in that is their friendship.
Yeah.
Their friendship was accepted that they were that close.
Yeah.
The only person that ever had really anything against it was Avery.
Yeah.
Hence, bullying linked to homophobia.
Yeah.
Where at the end, when Jake and Caleb came out that they were together, the whole team just accepted it.
Yeah, they didn't care.
They didn't care at
They
all.
were like, what, you didn't see that coming?
They started to like clue onto it before the guys were ready to announce it.
Yeah.
And I think they had conversations with Caleb first, where they approached him like, hey man, are you in a relationship with Jake? If you are, we're totally fine with that. We'll make sure the rest of the team are okay with that. Like, we accept you guys for who you are.
Fucking wholesome.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And for a team of hockey players who all have to share a locker room together, the fact that there was no homophobia directed towards either Caleb or Jake from the players was beautiful. I loved it. That's why it was so refreshing.
Yeah. And like, no question, like, oh, well, Caleb can't be in the room then, or like just
Jake, don't look at me while I'm getting undressed.
Yeah, like they didn't care. Like, which they shouldn't.
That honestly, and that's how relationships should be approached.
Yeah,
it shouldn't fucking matter at all.
No
and
matter what.
Maybe that's why this book is so important to us, or not even just to us, but to just the world in general.
Yeah, just how
because that's how it
so
should
many
be.
things. Yeah.
That is how it should be.
Yeah.
And in the end, they ended up. Avery he wasn't a good doctor.
No, he was
in the end, he didn't listen to the team's concerns and brushed off a lot.
Yeah,
So,
and none of them felt comfortable going to him.
Yeah.
So in the end, he was pointless.
Yeah, so Rachel and Amari ended up getting close when Rachel noticed Amari was favouring a certain side of his body. And as it turned out, he had a groin pull, or he had a very minor tear near his groin. And Amari was keeping it a secret because he was trying to get on the Finnish Olympic hockey team, and didn't want an injury to essentially be a red mark on why he shouldn't be on this team.
Yeah.
So she took him under her wing,
Yeah.
got him the scans he needed, got him the recovery plan that he needed, and he eventually went on to join the Finnish Olympic team.
Yeah.
And the really beautiful part about it was when Omari was sitting down having his final interview after the game, and the Finnish Olympic team are just like, is there any negative press that we should know about that could impact, I guess, the Olympic team negatively?
Yeah.
Before, I guess, Jake, Caleb, Rachel even came out, Omari was like, yes, like, I'm about to come out as part of a polyamorous relationship with two guys and a girl.
Yeah.
You guys should be aware of that.
Yeah.
But the Finnish team were like, okay,
Cool.
love is love.
Yeah, good for you. Like,
And just brushed over it. And it was,
I know.
That's why I described this book as it's accepting, and it was just refreshing. Yeah. I think I would have liked to see a little bit more drama.
Mm.
It was talked up a lot with the negative press in Rachel's past that I kept thinking, is this where the press is going to get them? Is this where the press is going to get them?
Like,
and
when something bad going to happen.
Yeah, but it didn't happen throughout the book. I guess it happened towards the end, as I was describing how the book ended before and how they came out to the world. But even then, it wasn't negative press because of how they controlled the PR and the announcement.
Yeah.
I think I was just anticipating a little bit more negativity and drama around that.
Yeah.
But No, you go.
Yeah, and then with the Avery thing, that got built up a lot, and then it kind of just
fizzled.
Yeah, he could have been more shit. Like he was.
He
was shit.
He was a pretty shitty person.
He was
to
really
with.
shit, but they could have put more onto that.
But I think I guess this comes back to, I guess, our reading background, in the fact that we read a lot of high fantasy where there is a lot at stake and there is a lot of drama and war and battles.
Yeah.
That when it comes to romance, I guess the main conflict can be a bully.
Yeah.
It can be in the characters' heads, because essentially that's what this was. It was the main conflict of this story was in each character's head, and as you read from each of their perspectives, they were all kind of facing their own internal battle on their relationship, where it was going to go, how people were going to accept it, how it was going to impact their careers. She was the team doctor. Like, it was a big no-no for even her to have a relationship with one player, let alone two players and the equipment manager.
Yeah.
So a lot of the conflict came from just their headspace on accepting a polyamorous relationship that was developing. Jake's personality.
Love. Golden retriever. Mm-hmm. That's the only way to describe him.
Absolute golden retriever energy. It felt like when I was reading Jake's scenes, he was talking at like 2 times speed, and that's how I was reading his scene. But that was how well Emily Rath was able to describe Jake's personality and maybe understand Jake's personality in just the golden retriever, lovable energy. He was always there with ice cream. He was always there ready to be like foot rubs or back rubs. Yeah. Just, what do you need? Happy Jokes.
He's just such a good guy. I loved Jake's character. I loved all of the characters, but Jake was just such a sweetheart. It's just good.
I still loved Omari. When I picked up that one night, I knew it was a hockey romance. Mm-hmm. When I picked up Pucking Around, it wasn't until I was about to start reading it that I realised it was White Shoes. Yep.
Because I didn't mention that, did I?
Not until like I was about to start reading, because you sent me this badly drawn photo of a sex scene in the book, and they were just stick figures. Are you gonna try and find it now?
Yes.
They were just stick figures, and she's like, there's a scene like this, and I was like, what? And it was just one stick figure man, another stick figure man, a stick figure woman, and then a stick figure man in a sexual act. And I then spent the whole book until this scene hit trying to figure out which stick figure was who, and that was a lot of fun. Yep.
It's beautiful, Picasso.
So for anybody listening to the podcast, Christy just shared that image to the video that we're recording. But yeah, she sent me this crudely drawn stick figures in a sexual act, and I just spent the whole book trying to figure out which person was which.
And like, what does it all mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean?
So yeah, I didn't realize it was White Shoes until I was turning the first few pages. I think I would have liked to see some more Dom vibes from Caleb. He kept being talked up about being this Dom daddy kind of person. Yeah. And yes, like, you did get a sense of it. I would have just liked to see more. Yeah. But that's like, I just enjoyed the book so much. And you know what? Maybe there is more of those Dom vibes in the novella that we haven't read yet.
It's true. Maybe we should read it.
Maybe.
Just for
but
that reason.
I would have liked to see more Dom Daddy Caleb vibes, especially with both Jake and Rachel. Because the scene in the club just left me wanting more. Yeah. And then towards the end of the book, there's also a scene where Caleb has tied up and blindfolded Rachel and then called both Jake and Lamari like, oh, you guys better get here. I think they're on video, or I can't remember. They're either on video or you can hear Rachel in the background, but Caleb's like, she's mine at the moment, guys. And it forces both Jake and Lamari to work together to get back home as quickly as possible to join in. Yeah. It was very well done. Yeah. It was very well done.
All of the scenes were just, each one was different, and I don't even have words when I'm talking about it. I really enjoyed this book. Yep. I really enjoyed all of the sex scenes. They were just so beautifully well written and different, not all the same. Mm-hmm. And just,
Nothing really faded to black either.
No, you had everything. You saw everything. You were there in the trenches.
Yep.
And just... Daddy Caleb. I am a sucker for dirty talk. And his dirty talk was magnificent.
Beautiful.
So well done.
Do you have any highlights from the book, like what you did with Not So Lucky? I think I might have.
I didn't highlight anything because I didn't even know that existed when I read this book.
I actually do have a highlight from the tentacle scene that I was talking about. And she goes, "It was a gag gift from Tess, and it's most certainly a gag that she packed it for me. It has to be because the dildo is large and purple and shaped like an octopus tentacle."
That's the Caleb scene.
And then, I'm so glad I highlighted this one as well. Because she goes on, "I had a stranger fondling my dildo in public. A dildo I totally used, by the way. I add as I fling my other arm out towards him."
That was when she was jumping.
She was said it as she was jumping the balcony.
And he was shook. Because that's where he tripped over. Like, yeah. Jake's eye flash with such a look of hunger that I swear I'm probably pregnant now. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I loved that, the Puck Bunny scene. "I do know you, asphalt. I've known girls like you all my life." When she's talking to that bitch. That bitch. Caleb's ex. Oh, I hated her.
That's right. So there was a scene with Caleb's ex in the club before they all got hot and steamy in the stairwell and the closet. And Rachel puts her in her place.
Yes.
But that's where this quote comes from. She goes, "I do know you, asphalt. I've known girls like you my whole life."
Yep.
And you think asphalt, why are they calling her asphalt? But Rachel just purposely got her name wrong every single time
Yeah, it was like
she spoke to
Ashley
her.
or something like.
Something,
Yeah.
yeah. I was going to say something stupid, but Ashley's not a stupid name. I'm like reading through, and this one gave me a bit of whiplash. "Yeah, champ, that's how the squeeze test goes. Now lie back and let me fist you."
Where was that from?
But here's the thing, that wasn't a sexual scene at all. That was Rachel trying to give, I think, Elmari a physical test. And she
But
was
not that
putting
kind of
her
physical.
fist in between like his two knees.
Yeah.
And he just has to squeeze. And she comes out with that line.
Genius. That scene! Oh my god. The scene where she wears Caleb's jersey while Jake's playing.
That's right.
And he doesn't he just slam onto the window and causes a scene, "You get that off!"
Yes, that's right. So
I highlighted it.
before one of the games, Rachel put Caleb's jersey on.
Yeah.
And Jake is extremely jealous of that fact.
But she wore Caleb's to mess with Jake.
I thought it was Omari's.
No. Because that was her and Caleb's little thing to get it.
Was it
Jake.
another scene that they swapped jerseys later?
Yeah.
Okay. So Rachel goes to a game wearing Caleb's jersey.
Yeah.
Christy, the highlight.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Jake just sees it and he slams up onto the glass and bangs on it and he's like, "You take it off!" And then the crowd starts to notice. All eyes are drawn to them. And she's just thinking, "Oh, this is bad. Such a bad idea. Stupid Rachel." And Caleb is just being a smart ass and is like, "Maybe if you play really well tonight, she'll wear your jersey on Saturday." He's living for this moment of supreme assholery. The group around us laugh as Jake gives us a look like he just popped his spleen. And Rachel's like, "I'm sorry." Suddenly regretting every decision of her life. The look of torture on his face is gutting her. She wants to climb the plexiglass and make him hold her. It's just fucking hilarious.
That's it. And Jake's causing this big scene, and it's a huge public scene as well, and they hadn't come out that they're in a relationship yet, or even just like a traditional male-female relationship, and he's causing this huge scene all directed towards her.
Brilliant. Another scene with just Jake and Caleb the first time, and Jake is like, just you wait, I'm gonna love you so fucking hard, Kay. I'm gonna do it loud whether the hockey world likes it or not. I cried.
How beautiful.
I cried my heart out. Like
two friends realizing they're in love with each other. Because Jake essentially had a bi-awakening. I don't think he'd been with a man before Caleb. It's like, yes, they'd been intimate together, but together with another woman when they were in college. But Caleb had been closeted by his entire life.
Yeah.
He hadn't been open that he was into men and had kept it a secret until this book.
Yeah. This is like right near the end. We can get Rachel her job back and we can come out to the public as a fearsome foursome. Official name, TBD.
I think we've mentioned everything we need to with Pucking Around.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it's just a super accepting book on non-traditional relationships and polyamory. Highly recommend.
Hands down. I recommended this to you. Like,
you did, and I'm really glad that you did, because I thoroughly enjoyed this book.
It's just such a good read. It's so wholesome. It touches on so many things and so many topics. Yeah, some, can be seen as triggers, but I like that, I guess. Like, I like...
Not every character is perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is as well. Like, the characters aren't perfect. They don't have perfect backgrounds. They have their own struggles, whether that's work, mental health, or just press, for example.
Yeah.
But no, it's an accepting book. It's up there in like one of my favorite hockey romances that
Hands
I
down.
have read. And I feel like if you are going to dive into hockey romances, this one is going to hold, I guess, the standard.
Yeah, like if it doesn't compare, it just doesn't compare. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
I don't know, I think I just get so flustered over this book because of how much I loved it.
Yeah, I get that. And we could talk for hours about it. In fact, we have talked for an hour about it. I'm going to have to cut the shit out of this episode to keep it nice and short. But it was a great book. It's a book that we're still talking about several months later. And yeah, highly recommend. 4 out of 5 stars for me.
And 5 out of 5 for me. Literally, Emily Rath, you can do no wrong. Please write more.
So yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
If you want to talk more about this episode, you can find us on our socials to reach out, chat about Pucking Around or That One Night, or if you have any other recommendations for hockey romances or even sport romances, please send it our way. We would love to know more, especially books that you guys have enjoyed as well.
Yeah, give us more recommendations.
Highly there for it.
I'll read it.
Yes, same.
And if you want to discuss it further, just hop in the comments of anything, really.
We'll chat.
Yeah, we'd love to talk about it, obviously. We talked about it for over an hour. And just show us some love. Like, subscribe, share, comment.
Just listen.
Yeah, we want more friends. Love us, please.
I guess we'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what book we're going to be doing next, but we'll definitely share it to our socials.
Yeah.
So yeah, stick around. We'll talk to you then.
Bye.
Bye.